right, welcome back to another More Business, More Life podcast. Today we have Melissa Barrett, Stephanie Vetter, and myself, Giovanni Godina. Welcome, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the tax you pay for not having the right systems. And what's that tax? Is working harder than you should have to. Um, we, all of us, have some hindsight of this tax, and sometimes maybe pay a little bit of this tax every once in a while, but for me definitely has gotten a lot less of working harder and working smarter for that. But I'll open up to Melissa and Stephanie. How's this tax been on you, and are you still paying it?
Taxing. Sometimes I think as you continue to level up, you have to continue to look at your systems and figure out what's working and what's not working. And it's just a matter of how long are you going to continue to pay this tax before it hurts so much that you make a change. And I think some of the things that we try to inspire our clients to is to notice this much sooner so that you're not continuing to pay this tax, which is like, why are we going to continue to keep working harder when really we just need to find another way? We just need to leverage all the tech that's out there, our team, ask for help, whatever it might be. Yeah, it's funny. I just keep thinking of the stories we were talking about before we even turned this podcast on. And just to even break it down into something simpler, we were talking about the stupid tax, which stupid is not a nice word, the dumb tax. But if you think about some of the times you're going too fast or you're not thinking strategically, like break it down to the simplest thing. I was just talking about, the owners that used to live in the house before I was here 2.5 years ago. They still accidentally send things to the house sometimes. It happens, right? Like you have addresses saved in your accounts, and if you don't check, then things can accidentally go the wrong place. And so there was this one package that came and it was huge. And he messaged me and he's like, I'm so sorry. If you could just ship that to us, I'll Venmo you. And I felt horrible because we brought it to the UPS store or wherever to ship it back to him. It was like $50 to send this thing. And I felt bad. And he was like, it's not on you. Like I call it the stupid tax because you weren't paying attention. It was like a dumb thing that you did. And so you're going to pay for that in some way. And so it's the same thing with business. If you just continue to work harder without figuring out how to systemize your business, how to automate things, how to delegate to other people, then you are paying tax. You're paying tax on your time by working harder. So, yeah, I guess I know Melissa had some good stories about that too, but what do you think?
Well, I mean, in the spirit of what you're talking about, I think I always feel like I pay a little bit of a stupid tax when I go to the grocery store and I forget my bag in the car or somewhere at home. And then I go, well, that's the tax you have to pay because you forgot your bag. Um, but I think that, when we think about, just having, paying the tax for not having the right systems. Um, I think a lot of times it's not only the systems, but it's also what are you up against? I was just talking to Giovanni earlier about just time and how we use our time. And he was like, come on, you got to schedule it in. And I was like, yeah. And then somebody says, well, I got to do this tomorrow. So that means I have to like get it done or else they don't have it tomorrow. And so, you know, a lot of times, sometimes you can negotiate and say, well, would it be best if you did it on Thursday instead of Wednesday so that I can, give you that? But then there are times that it's like, it's got to happen tomorrow and it needs to be done. And so the challenge is really about, how can you clarify your revenue system, your time system, your decision system so that you can create the kind of accountability that you really need.
Yeah. And when that's where the working harder part, right? The working harder is the tax you pay, is because, for our instance right now, like we have a lot of moving parts. We're part of another another project that we're working with. There's a lot of moving parts and a lot of mismanagement in the past, and a lot of things are like, oh, I need this now, right? Kind of a thing. And that's the tax we're now inheriting, because the systems weren't in prior, right? And even just with our own stuff within our own business, Turtle Roots and stuff like that, it's like, okay, we're continuing to do this thing. Like, how can we negate that, right? Because really, working hard, like working in today's world, like Stephanie was mentioning, like in today's world, working harder is a choice. Like, we have so many tools and so many things that can help us within business and in personal life, honestly, too, to work smarter, not harder. Not to say that there's not going to be any kind of work that's going to be done, but like, you can do so much more now in on your own, that helps automate things or whatnot. And if you have a team, like, what are you not asking them to do? We just got off a call with one of our clients who's like, she's like, she's the CEO founder. She's taken it from working by herself, doing the things, to now having a team, where it's now she's like, well, I know it's not your job, but and like being able to step into that role of more visionary and guider, and having other people do it. But it's like the working hard still kind of there because she used to do it all, right? And now she has more people to do, but she still has that mindset of like, oh, it's on my plate kind of a thing. And that's where the working harder is, like asking, like, if you have team members, who can help take this off your plate so that you can focus on the things that are most important. And I think a lot of people, and I think both you and Melissa and Stephanie can attest to this. I'm the black sheep of the family, who doesn't like working hard, and has always tried to get away from it. But working hard is like kind of almost a badge of honor. Like, if you're not working hard, then what are you doing? Kind of a thing, right? And those were the past yous, the older versions of you, not the new current versions where you're like, no, I'm gonna work smarter, not harder. But yeah, and either of you want to jump in on that
Well,
mindset or
I was just going to add to that though, because I think that's an important part. I think, because where did we learn that exhaustion equals excellence, right? I mean, that is a thing that we
Mhm.
learn. I know where I learned mine because I looked at my dad. He was a total workaholic. And, there's probably a whole generation of people that would just be like, if you work hard, you can, achieve whatever you want to achieve. And there are people who benefit from you staying overextended, right? It's like, can you do this? Can you do this? Yes, I can do that. But it's kind of like you have to realize there is another way. And I'm not saying I'm perfect at it. I'm still learning myself. But when we talk about more business, more life, there are so many systems that you can put in place in your business. Um, but a lot of times we resent our own success, right? So we kind of go through this process of like, I have to work hard, and you feel guilty when you're not working because, you're used to working 8 hours a week or whatever. Um, and then we forget about the more life part, and it's just like you're killing yourself. You're not even having a happy life, or more life even. You're just, existing and kind of going through this motion, which, to me is that process of how do I get off of this hamster wheel? Because I don't want to do that anymore. I want to actually experience life because life is so short. And, being able to really turn inward and understand like what is my purpose and why am I here? And, what do I want to achieve while I'm here on earth and all of those things.
So much wrapped up into what you just said. And I think it is true. We look to who came before us that we honored, respected, like saw as successful. For you, it was your dad. For me, it was my dad too. He was an entrepreneur. And I didn't see all the stuff that like led him to get to the place where, we had nice vacations as a young family. And he had, he was home for dinners and he had that whole more business, more life thing going on. He didn't get there overnight. And so for me, something that I always chased, and I did it in a totally different way. I think he did have the hustle in the beginning to build his business, but I don't think he ever sacrificed that time with family or the life part. Maybe he worked weekends here and there. I didn't see that part, obviously, because I was a baby. But in my mind, I was like, I want that. I want the life that he had. I wanted to have a business. I wanted it to be built around my family. I wanted it to provide so that we could have, some of the nice things. I saw them upgrade their house. I saw them buy the art that they wanted. I saw him, win vacations and stuff. He used to win them through, as an insurance agent, he used to win them through the company. And I was like, I want that. And so it became a thing that I chased and I hustled and I worked hard and I put in the hours because not only did I want that so bad for my family, I thought, like, I also felt like so much was riding on me to provide it. Like my husband had the 9 to 5 and the, same paycheck every week. And on me, it was like this roller coaster up and down. But I also knew it was on me that I had the opportunity in front of me because of what I was doing in my business. I could make more. And so I really took ownership of like, this is on me. If I want these things, like I have to provide this. And it became just this mission that it was like blinders on, like by whatever means necessary, I was going to have this. And it wasn't until it was almost like smelling salt meeting Steve, like you wake up and you're like, wait, okay, what am I like, what is happening? But you kind of need to like hit that wall or have somebody create that awareness with you to be like, is this going the way that you would like it to go? And so if that question doesn't come up from within, then we need to put ourselves in a circle of someone who's going to call us on our stuff, because that's not a way to live. Like we shouldn't be working 14-hour days. We shouldn't be, so burnt out and tired and paying that tax, the stupid, and this is not the stupid tax, like working harder, hustling, building something you're passionate about. It's not stupid tax. It is just, that's for story, right? But it is a tax that you pay in order to get to where you want to go, like the dream, whatever it is.
Yeah. And it's not to say there's not work that has to be done,
Sure.
right? It's just that mentality of
How?
I'm just gonna buckle down and I'm just gonna work harder. I'm gonna work harder. I'm gonna work
Mm-hmm.
harder. I'm gonna work harder. And then sometimes people, I mean, they'll work hard and they get caught up in the busyness of business
Mm-hmm.
where they think they're doing something and it's not as productive as it could be. And if you're starting out on your own, yeah, you're gonna have to have many hats when it's just gonna be the way it is. But even then with technology, those many hats can be offloaded with a lot of stuff right now. I mean, AI is everywhere. Like, and we're using it on a lot of stuff, and I'm using it personally for a lot of things. Like, you can offload a bunch of your hats as a solopreneur or just somebody getting just started. You can offload a lot of stuff that you couldn't, 10 years ago. But then as you start building more and more team and more systems, that's really where it kind of just comes in. It's not yes, there's work to be done, but it's like you as the CEO, the founder or the entrepreneur, the visionary, whatever it is that you want to call yourself, is like, are you doing what's going to be the best for the business, right? Because if you're a CEO, you don't need to be. We used this analogy earlier today on one of our client calls. Is like you either are steering the ship where it's going, but you can't be the person that's on the front of the ship tying knots and throwing things overboard or whatnot. You can't be doing both of them. You got to be the one who's either directing or something else. But as a CEO, I mean, your job is to have that vision and to steer the company to where you want it to go. And the working harder, well, like, oh, I'll do that. And we had a past client, right, who's like, I'll do the work and then I'll do all the administrative stuff at night, right? We have, I don't know how many clients we had that are like that. Like, I do the work in the daytime and then I do all the administrative stuff at nighttime. And you're burning the candle at both ends. That's working harder. And maybe you have to do that in the beginning. Probably not. That maybe is really, actually, it's not. Like, it's just your mindset of what you want it to do. And there are some outliers, right? Who like, I love working 15 plus hours. Like, that's their thing. Like, they love working. But most people aren't like that. Most people start a business so they can have that freedom, so they can enjoy the life that they envisioned in their mind, and and working, 80, 60 plus hours, 80 plus hours a week is it doesn't get you there.
I just want to take a short break. And first, thank you for listening to the More Business, More Life podcast. And right now, I want to give you the most important training that I lead off with. In fact, it's the most sought after keynote speech I've done all around the world, literally from Africa to New Zealand, Australia, all around North America and other parts of the planet. And I want to give that to you free. And all you have to do is text the word life to 72,000. That's LIFE to 72000. So text the word life to 72,000 and you'll gain access to this powerful training. And there is a catch to this, and the catch is quite simple, that you have to want number one, change. If you want change in your life, then this might be for you. Number two, are you ready to take action? If you're not going to take any action, then this is probably not for you. And the third is, are you coachable? Are you willing to try new things? If you have those three things, you want change, you're willing to take action, and you're coachable, then please text life to 72,000 and we'll do our best. Whether we can help you or somebody else, our promise is that we're going to look at what's going on in your life and give you the best next step. And that might be working with us, that might be working with someone else, that might be going and reading a book, whatever it is, we're going to do the right thing for you. So let's design your life and build your abundance around that.
The person, and we've talked about this in past podcasts, the person you are in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s is a different person across the board. Your likes change, your preferences change on how you like to travel. Like I enjoy my bed now, and like being away from my bed longer than like 2 weeks is like, oh man, when am I getting home? Right before is I'll sleep anywhere. I'll fall asleep on a plane, on a bus. Like, yeah, it's comfortable enough, but it changes, right? And like
Mhm.
just getting back to those systems help you have whatever it is that you want a lot faster than if you don't.
Well, and I think that what's interesting is, we talk a lot about the pain and some of the things, when you think about the hidden costs of kind of uh that tax that we're talking about. I mean, you've got like revenue plateaus, you get to like decision fatigue, you have declines in your creativity, your health starts to go, you got tension in your family, resentment, and then there's this whole dependency thing that goes on with, whether you have a team or not. And
Turnover.
and so I think there's this whole thing where, I mean, if you have a lot of that going on, you probably have some sort of hard work tax. You know what I mean? Um, and I think a lot of times we don't kind of move it into the systems so that we can convert it into processes that allow us to have that freedom that we talk about. And
Yeah.
so I always kind of go, well, what will break if I took 30 days off? And usually there's a whole list of things that might come out. And I'm like, wow, how can I get a successor? Like, who can I assign this to? Or who can help me? Because we talked about a lot of times we aren't good at asking for help. Um, and so sometimes it's like, who can I ask for help, even if it's on an irregular basis? Like maybe I want to do something because I love it for so long, but you still need some sort of succession plan. And my dad used to tell me all the time, if you can't, if somebody else can't come in and do it, you haven't built a business, you've built a job. And so he used to tell me all the time, like, you should be doing the job you want. And so as I was coming up in corporate, it was like, okay, I'll just do the job and then I'll get the title or whatever or the promotion later. But it gives you the mentality that, stop thinking about what you're doing as a job function and really think about how you want your company to leave the legacy. Like, what are you leaving for that next, that next person, that next, if is it your family member? Do you is your business going to be something you sell, or does it die with you?
Mm.
And I think that's always a challenge because I know my dad, he was always doing something. And then when he passed away, he had this publishing company. None of us knew anything about it, like how to do it, nothing. And so it was really challenging after because we had a lot of authors coming and saying, hey, like what's happening?
Mm.
And just having to try to figure out how to navigate that as his family members was very challenging.
So a lot of times when we meet people, not a lot of times, but um, when we meet people and we introduce ourselves and say what we do, we say that, typically we work with CEO founders and entrepreneurs who found some success in their business. They don't have the life that they want. So when we work with our clients, we bring in systems that allow them to actually increase their revenue while working less time, taking more vacations, and without sacrificing the success of the business or anything else. And we still work, like we're talking about, we still work. We work smarter, not harder. But a lot of times people will say to me, oh, that sounds amazing. I need that. What do you mean by systems? Like technology? Is there an app for that? What do you mean by that? And so um, I know some of the things I say, but I guess I'm just curious for both of you. Like when we say systems, and we've talked about it already, but like how do you clarify that even further for people who are like, well, what kind of systems? What do you mean by that?
Yeah. I would say for me, it comes down to two parts. You have human systems, and then you have like technology systems or like SOPs, right? Standard operating procedures, so that like anybody can come in, any Joe off the street can come in and look at a document and say, "Oh, okay, I know how to do this." And that's anybody can start creating those, right? If you've been in your business long enough, you know how things run. You just need to put it down on paper so that somebody else can do it for you. When I mean like human systems, like how do you regulate yourself or others around you, like those kinds of systems, right? We always talk about, people talk about time management, and we don't say time management, we say you management. Like, how are you managing you? Because one, time's not real in general, but I mean, going off that construct, everybody has the same amount of time. Melissa, you always say this. Your dad always said, you have the same amount of time as the president has, right? Which is true. We all have the same amount of time. So it's like not learning how to manage that time, is learning how to manage yourself with that time. And so that's probably one of the biggest things that I've noticed starting working with Steve, as on my personally as a client, but then as now as a coach working with our clients, is most of our challenges that our clients have, yeah, it might be some systems and like getting things set up, but mostly it's about managing them, like how they run and how they operate and getting those systems in place, right? Like Steve talks a bunch about, this might not be for everybody, but like meditation and gratitude, like coming from those places. So coming from gratitude, like number one core um, belief of ours is having gratitude, right? Choose gratitude, create freedom is a big thing. But because if you can't come from a place of gratitude, it's a lot harder to create the things that you want. Um, and so I would say this, the human systems, figuring out you as the CEO, founder, entrepreneur, how you operate and how you interact with all the other things. That's going to be the biggest thing.
Yeah, that's great, Giovanni. I think when I think about systems, I think about a repeatable way to produce a predictable result. Um, and usually it doesn't require you to have to reinvent something every time.
Right.
So it's not necessarily software. I agree with the whole human element concept because it's not about bureaucracy or, like whatever, what other systems you may have. But it's really about how do you create structure, ownership, measurement and documentation so that, you know, the the processes and systems that you're focused on actually run really well.
Mhm.
And so if I think when we're talking about that, it's like everything is connected to how your business runs. So whether it's, revenue or time or decisions or whatever, how do you streamline that process in a way that allows you so that you, at the end of the day, have not only more business, but more life?
Beautifully said, both of you. I love that. It is about consistency, creating consistency in all these different functions and areas of the business. So I know we're working on creating all kinds of SOPs for this bigger project that we're working on. And it's because there's things that we do every day in the business. And whether it's, you're doing it every day and you want to offload and delegate and train somebody else how to do that, then we need to document what that system is. And it's amazing how effectiveness, performance, everything goes up once you have that system, because it forces you to look back and go, okay, I'm going to create a protocol for this, a system, if you will. And so first you have to inspect, well, how does it go now? Like, what is happening now? And what are the things that we're doing that actually create the success? And then how can we make that better? So even just identifying, like, what do I need a system around? Inspecting it, like assessing what's working and what doesn't, allows you to actually create something so much more efficient that then not only, you're doing it better yourself if you're the one acting on that system, or if you're delegating it, if you're training it, whatever it is, like it's so much smoother. And so I think about, like, there's so many things we're coming up against now. We're like, oh, we need a system for that. Oh, we need an SOP for that, because like you can't have a business without having that. Like we have it for, oh, we have these new sales leads that are coming in from this area. How are we managing that? Who's managing it? What are we saying? Like, what method are we reaching out? Like really breaking it down. It really makes you look at how do we do this? How are we doing this as a company? How are we doing this? And so that also allows us to have expectations, like, and review our people. Like, how is this going? Are we on track? Are we off track? Well, let's look at, like, are we doing all these things? So yeah, I think it's so interesting being on the other side now. Like we've had our systems in our business, and now helping other people, like really getting in the weeds and doing it with them, is like so eye-opening. Yeah, I just find it fascinating.
Yeah, and the systems, especially going from a more business, more life philosophy standpoint, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
not just for the CEO, founder, entrepreneur who has the more business, more life. It's like we truly want the whole business, all of the people that are involved in the business to have more business and more life within it. And to see that come to fruition, it's amazing to see businesses that have done that. And I mean, it does come down to everything we just said, is the systems that you create so that you have a repeatable, result, and that anybody can do it, is, for the most part. But if they just follow these instructions and everything like that, it it's what makes all of what we talk about possible, right? Any closing thoughts that you ladies have on this? This has been fantastic. I love our little chats we have.
A little fireside chats.
Oh.
Right.
um,
I mean, I think the big thing is, building systems. I think we focus on building systems because we're tired of paying that hard work tax, and I know for me, it took me 50 plus years to realize there actually is a different way to do things without working yourself into the ground. And you can be successful without, working so hard that you can't enjoy life. And I think that's where, culture starts to meet. The American culture, quite frankly, is very focused on, you just work till your wheels fall off. And and I think knowing that there is another way to do it actually gives you really a sense of peace, but also a sense for purpose. What am I here to do, and how do I focus my attention on the things that really allow me to enjoy the life that I have?
I'm a fan. I'm a fan of systems. I'm a fan of you all.
We're a fan of yours.
Yeah.
Fan of
Yeah,
not
I
paying
mean,
taxes.
let's not pay the tax man anymore. We're always trying to figure out how we could pay less tax. So, like, literally, when you look at your business, you have to go, how can I do less without sacrificing, the service, the value, any of that? And so, trying to figure out how to create efficiencies, trying to figure out how to give yourself more time, especially as the CEO, like, you need space to be creative. You need to have time. You can't be pushing all the buttons. You should not be pushing all the buttons. And I think there's a mindset around, well, I do it the best. I know how to do it. Well, okay, let's train somebody to do it as good as you and then see what other flavor they bring in to take it to the next level. Like, we just have to be more expansive in our mindset. Like, thinking that we just have to work hard is we talk about like constrictive. So we just need to like open up our mindset to like, how can I have more? And if we give ourselves that space, then we can creatively find different ways to do what we're already doing, but in a better way. So
Love it.
Absolutely.
We can leave it with that. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of More Business, More Life. If you have any questions, we are always open to answer and be here and bring you value as much as possible. Join our newsletter and we can help you get more business, more life.
Thanks for listening to the More Business, More Life podcast. I hope you got value. And if you did, we have so many more things for you at stevenapolitan.com. You'll be able to connect with us on social media. We are active. You can ask us questions. I look forward to having you on the next show. Until then, remember, choose gratitude and create freedom.